Hello! Welcome to another video by Rick Miracle. It's 2016, Monday the 11th of January. And I thought about what to do to start off the new year. And I have been, as I've been saying in my videos, in my series, Freemasonry and Satanism, where I have hundreds of hours of video material on YouTube, and my sky spraying, chemtrails, HARP systems, photography and videos I've made of the sky spraying of chemicals and maybe biologicals in the sky since 2005. I have hundreds of videos on YouTube. So I'm going to start a new series. It's going to be called New World Order Media and Press Releases. And what I have done is I've cataloged each year of the press releases I printed out. Probably going to find this unbelievable, but it's true. This is just 2015, and it's only some of the media press releases that I printed out. All kinds of little tabs there. Zionism, New World Order. So this is 2015. I have another box just like this for 2014. And I have 2013 in binders, 2012, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, until 2005. I've been paying attention to the alternate news and the mainstream news press releases. It is my firm belief that the Main Street press releases are, for the most part, propaganda. Mind control of the masses. I guess providing data for what they want the masses to believe. And then there's a lot of alternate websites that try to expose the truth. I've discovered this since I started my investigation in 2005. And as I've discussed in many of my videos on Freemasonry and Satanism, lots of people have been neutralized. A nice word for eliminated, which is a nice word for murdered. Vaccine scientists, doctors, biologists, astronomers, scientists, military people, whistleblowers, witnesses, etc., etc., etc. Very strange. So what I thought I would do in this series of the New World Order media and press releases would be 2015, for example, part 1. And I'll just do a flash of as many of these as I can do in an hour. And then New World Order media and press releases part 2 would be here, maybe. Part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6, part 7. And I'm just going to flash through these press releases. And then there'll be 2014, part 1, part 2, part 3, etc., etc. Until I exhaust all the press releases that I've printed out in 10 years. And then also I might do a New World Order review of 10 years worth of Nexus magazines. And New World Order book review, just looking at the covers and a little bit of commentary, on maybe 50, 100 books per video. Just flash. So there will be no question in anybody's mind of the common denominator in the pursuit of the people who rule our planet to control what people think. And the propaganda put out there, and also the truth out there by the people trying to expose the propaganda. You got two classifications of material put out by the machine. The Illuminati elite-owned newspapers, radio programs, TV programs, movies, billboards, everything. And then, of course, we have a whole lot of alternate websites trying to dish out and expose the truth, everything from the infiltration of religion by these New Agers and New One-Worlders, the fear-mongering that just goes on and on and on. Earthquakes, comets, plagues, terrorism, financial collapse, toxic food, sky spraying, HARP systems, mind control, sustainability, Agenda 21, and a whole lot that I probably missed. The pole shift, alien invasion. I sit here, I could think of more and more and more. So that's what this series is going to be about on the New World Order, media and press releases by the year. So I'll start with 2015. When I exhaust that, we'll do 2014 and just back up. And after you watch a few of these, if you don't get it, you might have a problem. You might have been programmed not to get it. So I did just take a few pictures of the books and binders and all that, folders with all the press releases, and I took a video. So let's see how it works. Give me a thumbs up if you want me to do this when I get a couple test videos out there. Thank you. Rick Maverick reporting. This bookcase, as you can see, has everything from remote viewing, the clairvoyant, ghost, dermishes, pathways through space, the coming of the cosmic Christ, Edgar Cayce, psychic works, psychic discoveries, oddities, vibrational medicine, philosophy of natural magic, the human aura, astrology, Hollywood and the supernatural, the facts of psychic science, the secret of light, magic eyes, the secret doctrine from Helena Blavatsky. And over here we have the kingdom come, the signs of the dove, the way of the shaman, deadly innocence, forbidden science, the Rosicrucian enlightenment, number in scripture, inner paths to outer space here on the end. And here we have secret handbook, seeker's handbook, sweet spirits, immortality, beware of familiar spirits, and so much more in this one bookcase. And if we look below here, open the doors, these are binders full of press releases that I have printed out over the years. You can see the date from 2006 to 2012 and 13. I'll pull one out to show it to you. This is what we're going to go over. But look at the thickness of this. Just trying to make a point. Thousands of press releases. Thousands. And then over here, that's New World Order. We've got sky spraying and documentation of Israel, Jerusalem Post. Thousands and thousands of documents I printed out. The Jerusalem Post right here, I'll pull this out. Heavy binder, completely full. It's upside down. thousands and thousands of pages of material I'm going to go over in the series called The New World Order. And if I move over here, more books. This is just 2014. My hand is trying to go from one end to the other. Of media press releases. 2014. More books. This is the 2015 press releases, where I have printed out and put little tabs. Again, thousands and thousands. Another bookcase. This is my UFO bookcase. And hundreds of books in my collection. But this is basically the UFO bookcase. And this one here would be Atlantis Ancient History. My dowsing books here. I'm learning how to dowse. And over here would be New World Order. As you can see, the Jews and the Akhenaten, Murder by Injection, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, Flying Serpents and Dragons, Treason in America to Eliminate the Opaque, the International Jew, Secrets of the Tomb, Clouds of Secrecy, Emerging Viruses and Ebola, Israel and the Bomb, Hitler's My New Order, the Zohar, and so much more in my book collection in this bookcase. And another bookcase. I keep talking about so many books. The Third Terrorist Trilateralism, Bloody Zion, Who Funded Hitler, Bloodlines of the Illuminati, Giants, The Empire of Their Own, Countdown, Jerusalem, The Creature from Jekyll Island, The Perfect War, Where Did the Towers Go, The Secrets to GE Success, The Big White Lie, Dungeons and Fire and Sword, Born in Blood, Naomi Klein, The Secret Doctrine. And in the drawer here is my collection of UFO material, a complete drawer 4 inches deep, fistful of documents just on the UFO in that drawer. So there you have it, just a sampling. I have more books. This is my messy bookshelf, a whole closet, all kinds of books. Mexico Mystique, Hamlet's Mill, The Nature of the Psyche, The Aquarian Conspiracy, The Genesis of Civilization, War and Peace, The Ancient Mystery Cults, The Holocaust Industry, Land People of Egypt, and so many more in this book whole closet here. If I can get it all in one shot. Lots of books I have. So as you can see, on this series, New World Order, The New World Order, media and press releases. And why I say media, can be photographs from YouTube videos, from movies, magazines, books, anything. Media. Radio shows, alternate websites, Main Street, that I've been paying attention to, researching, documenting for over 10 years. So let's get started to what I think I want to do, and maybe I get some positive feedback. So what I'll do is I'm just going to take out of this big thick box the first inch or so of documents. I've reviewed these over the 10 years, but have not obviously read these, and neither do I really want to again. It's part of my research. But looking at each one, the cover sheet, maybe a little more, like I said, a flash review. Alright, so starting out with the first one here, which appears to be appropriate to the conversation, New World Order. Cell phone kill switch. Confirmed conspiracy theory is no longer. Is this why cell phone services have been going out across America? Dirty little secret of international espionage revealed August 17, 2015. And on each of these I will hold it up for a couple seconds so anyone can press pause and write it down and search the document and get it. So I don't have to read it again. Like this. So basically, they've been testing the system. And they can create outages like you see in these pictures below. So what gives them the right to be able to do that? I would think if the big event happens, there's many possibilities of what the big event could be. As Lindsey Graham, I think, said, a nuclear explosion in Charleston Harbor, New York City, LA, anywhere. The dollar crash, a plague, an invasion by, they say, could be Russia, China. They want to turn off everybody's cell phone. Maybe it would be an inside job like 911. And they want to do martial law to bring about the New World Order with its New Age religion, which appears to be, with only 10 plus years experience, a Luciferian, reptilian, satanic religion. The symbolism is all there. When we go over these documents, hour after hour, or these press releases, it'll become more self-evident. So I just thought that one piqued my interest when it came out. Hackers are able to spy on smartphone users anywhere in the world. Criminals, commercial spies, and suspected terrorists are allegedly exploiting the security loopholes for their own benefit by accessing the system, which is being used by major Australian providers. Well, something interesting occurred to me this morning during my research. But apparently, there's this huge number of people saving lives, including their own, from invaders into the homes, thieves, maybe coming out of a store. Because they had a gun on them, they could pull it out, fire it in the air, warning shot, or shoot at the person and not hit them, to the tune of over 1 million plus. People have been saved because they had a gun. So the number of people who were actually shot with a gun is minuscule to how many people have been saved by guns. So it occurred to me, with our mafia-type government in control of all these outlets of criminals everywhere all over the country and world, losing many of their thugs because people have guns, and they're lobbying Congress to have the people disarmed so that their thugs can't be shot. Just me thinking. I know. When we go over these press releases, you'll be thinking too. The next one. Did you know that the U.S. no longer has any strategic grain reserves at all? These things concern me when I find them, so I print out the press release, and I read this stuff. Michael Schneider, economic collapse. You're going to find out in these press releases that propaganda just goes on and on and on and on for the last 10 years. They're messing with our psyche. Once upon a time, it was popular to say that the U.S. government only had enough wheat stored up to provide everyone in America with half a loaf of bread. But that is not true anymore. Recently, I discovered that the U.S. does not have any strategic grain reserves left at all. Zero. Nada. Zilch. So an interesting article. And I like looking back on these articles. If you go look this up. And hear what some of the citizens say in the comment section. The swift will not escape. The strong will not muster their strength. And the warrior will not save his life. And the next guy says, no, but those with brains will. A lot of interesting, amusing comments on these press releases. And the next one, like I said, this is just a flash review in each video. And when I'm all through, we'll have reviewed this stuff for 10 years. All right, this is interesting. September just got even worse. Wait till you see what's on the agenda. Now it is downright frightening. The list of events taking place in September just keeps growing. And I hear this from people all the time. Lately, during the holidays, Christmas time, New Year's, Thanksgiving, I'm kind of a social person. I like to go out there and have fun. But everybody's agreeing the world is losing its mind. Everything seems crazy. So here we go. It seems every day something new is being added. From comets, asteroids, earthquakes, to the collapse of the economy. You would think there could be nothing else that could possibly take place. But there is. The United Nations is going to launch Agenda 2030 at a major conference that will be held from September 25th to September 27th in New York City. And Pope Francis will be traveling to New York to deliver his address that will kick off the UN conference. And he said at that conference, one thing, that the global warming issue is an emergency. And weeks later, Obama, had, in his national address, said the same thing. The global warming issue is an emergency. And I have proof. Much proof, but this one is really amusing. We know that the Rothschilds are part of the Illuminati bloodlines. According to Fritz Springmeier and many others, these are the banksters. And they do have a satanic Luciferic religion where they actually have to sacrifice people to death to please these interdimensional spiritual beings. So when I found this book, it was just too much. The Live Earth Global Warming Survival Handbook. David D. Rothschilds. And look at the poor bear on a little floaty. I have books, documents that confirm. Even Nobel Literate Winner, we went over. Aiden, whatever, however you say his name. The videos I've gone over. The satellites in space, all the data, all the charts. Ice core samples dug a mile deep in the Himalayas, Iceland, Alaska, etc. show there has been no significant temperature change on planet Earth. That is unusual. Let us not forget there was the Dark Ages, which means they had a mini ice age and agriculture was suffering poorly. Then there was the time period when everything was warm and things were growing and everybody was prospering. You can see the graphs and these explanations. I've gone over them in previous videos. But we've had warming periods, ice ages, and warming periods and ice ages. Think about 1920s and 30s when they had those dust bowls out west. We don't have weather like that today. But we do have today the government with sky spraying, HARP systems, and so many other patented, which we're going to go over in these press releases, techniques to control the weather. And we got one of the Illuminati writing a book. It's just too funny to believe. So there you have it there. This press release. Where Agenda 21 mainly focused on the environment, there is no doubt that 2030 Agenda is a template for ruling the entire planet. That's why this little series I'm going to do, might be a big series, New World Order, they want to rule the planet. That's what sustainability is all about. Global warming, global cooling, and climate change. And when has the climate not changed? And by the way, 2030, if you divide 20 by 30, you get 666. Stuff you learn when you research. Not only does it address climate change, but it sets ambitious goals in areas of economic, health, energy, education, agriculture, gender equality, the homosexual agenda, transgenderism, and so much more. Propaganda in these press releases will prove everything I'm saying beyond a doubt. You wonder where I got the information. You're going to see. And a slew of other issues. All right, next document. Ex-Merck employee turned anti-vaccine activist, now terrorized by Big Pharma Black Ops program. August 10th, 2015. Another press release. Ex-Merck employee turned anti-vaccine activist, now terrorized by Big Pharma Black Ops branch. And I think it was Lisa Haven and others who have made some videos pointing out that medical professionals looking into the vaccine issue have been neutralized, i.e. murdered. Died conveniently. How's that? So Merck and Company, long history in harassing and threatening those who stand in the way of drug profits. The emails surfaced in court after 58-year-old Greamy Peterson claimed the drug caused him to have a heart attack in 2003 while taking the medication for 3 years to treat his back pain and arthritis. I suppose a lot of people pay attention to the news. They know there have been a lot of scandals in the pharma industry. And the next one, we're going to find that this is a common theme in these press releases on my daily review. And if I have 1,000 of these, remember there's only 365 days in a year. And I'm sure I have 1,000 or more for each year. So that means I had to review 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 every day. And some days, of course, I had to go to work or do something else. So it was quite the task. That's why I thought this little rapid review of these and these kinds of videos would give somebody the heads up quicker and also exact truth, because you can look up these press releases. Biggest gay lobby group in America urges schools to ban the words boy and girl. You can't make this stuff up. That's why I do this. I want people to be able to go look it up. Don't believe me. LGBT organization wants to eliminate gender stereotypes to avoid upsetting transgenders. I might point out, and some of the stuff I tell you might seem a bit bizarre, and I wouldn't blame you if you thought that way. But apparently these reptilian creatures, aliens, shapeshifters, satanic beings in the Bible, been here all along. Look on the Egyptian hieroglyphics, the American Indians. I got something to show you. I couldn't find the exact book I wanted, but this book will suffice for my point. Spiritual beings, aliens, what? American Indians taking peyote. The people in Peru taking the ayahuasca, however you say this, a drug down there in Peru. The opium, Afghanistan, Vietnam. Apparently that's a big reason for the Vietnam War to introduce these drugs into the USA. This is some kind of weird spiritual battle going on. So anyways, apparently there was this one native, Peruvian, who could draw very well. And a professor from the North United States College went down there. It's another whole story into itself. To document and learn about these Peruvians. So he gave this guy some drawing equipment, paper and colored crayons, to draw what he's seen when he took ashka, hushka, haushka, however you say it. So we could see what you can see on the other side when you leave your body in this world. We're talking about reptilians and aliens and satanic beings, even in the Bible, giving Adam and Eve the apple. But he drew these pictures. Clearly you can see there is a predominance of snakes. He drew what he saw on the other side. The creatures. Quite bizarre. So my point to this, when I go back to that document, my press release review, look at these snakes. Is that if you look up, get books, nice books with all the pictures of the American Indians, Mayans, Chinese, Hindu, it's all snakes, serpent-type beings. So anyways, back to this document. Biggest gay lobby group in America urges schools to ban the word boy and girl. My point is, these beings, apparently on Earth right now, lizards, reptilians, serpents, snakes, aliens, UFOs, interdimensional beings, anyways, they're androgynous. They don't have a male-female sex. They have sex, but they're androgynous. They're male and female. So if they're planning on having some kind of disclosure, just me thinking again, and they don't want to have classifications of male and female, because these serpent-type beings, which is well documented throughout mankind's history, just makes me wonder what this whole gay agenda, transgender, and all this other stuff is all about. There's a nice little comment on the bottom here. I'll just read one or two comments and move on to the next document. What a neat little slice of heaven we are carving out for ourselves. The future looks pretty much completely hopeless at this rate. It's not just this article, it's the big picture of things. Now you know why I want to do these press, media, and press-related reviews for 10 years, and including my commentary, looking at different books, and becoming aware of the stupid propaganda being put out there that people are probably buying into by our Rothschilds. You can't make this stuff up. Thousands and thousands of years of trying to figure it out, and what? Near everybody has an idea that the end is near. In some way, don't say boy or girl. What do you even say to this ridiculous idea? This idea makes my brain hurt a bit. So when you look up these articles, these press releases I'm showing you, go read the comments by people. And this sex agenda goes way back in the Bible. And androgynous beings, maybe these aliens be. Just saying. My research seems to be leading me to believe that. Another document here. It is about Islam exposing the truth about ISIS and Al-Qaeda, Iran, and the Caliphate. It is clearly my belief that the CIA, NATO, the Zionist, Israel says they control the United States, as I've said many times, Prime Minister Sharon, in a heated argument in his Congress in Israel, said, don't worry about the United States, we control the United States. Benjamin Netanyahu in Fink's Bar, look it up, don't believe me, said they hate America and they're going to destroy America, and much worse. So anyways, the Zionists, probably including the Jesuit spanksters, spiritualists into satanic rituals and all that, Illuminati, created ISIS, and Al-Qaeda. And then these are guys, if you watch the videos, they're always wearing hoods and have nice machine guns, expensive jeeps and equipment, rocket launchers. So they are definitely financed by the elites trying to bring about the New World Order, which is what this video is all about. So, author of book #1, best-selling author and radio host Glenn Beck exposes the real truth behind the roots of Islamic extremism in Muslims' teaching in his sharply insightful handbook. La-da-da, I'm convinced that the Muslims are being taken down just like they're taking down the Christians. Anybody who is decent people. Remember, Sharia law means they're seriously religious. No adultery, stealing, get your hand cut off. Which I'm opposed to that kind of tough religion. But they're not the murderers and rapists they're trying to also paint them to be. You can't have it both ways. What are they? Ultimately, the ultimate religion, or the murderers and rapists? I know that when I read Dungeon, Fire, and Sword, that book we looked at in my bookcase a few seconds ago, John Robinson, investigating the Crusades from 1000 AD to 1300, 300 years, that they would divide the Sunnis and Shiites and have them fight each other so that the kings and queens in Vatican could take over the whole lands of Canaan, Palestinians' land, and all the cities along the coast. Knee-deep in blood, splitting open people's guts to get a coin if they happen to swallow it to hide it, a gold coin. John Robinson's books, Dungeon, Fire, and Sword. Okay, another press release. A friend of mine's always are sending me documents to look at. But please come to a launch party for the new documentary, Our Daily Dose, and help end the ridiculous practice of water fluoridation in Asheville, catered by a local cafe. So I just got an email from a friend saying they're trying to get awareness about the fluoride in the water that is dangerous to the children. Look into that. Another one I get here probably every week that I talk about a lot, very important. With this guy here, Tom DeWeese. Sustainable development, smart growth, and kilo organized theft by any name. Put yourself in the homeowner's shoes. You buy a home for your family. Perhaps it's even handed down from your father or your grandfather. It's a place you can afford in a neighborhood you like. The children have made friends. You intend to stay there for the rest of your life. As you plant your garden, landscape your yard, put up a swing for the kids, mow your lawn. Unknown to you, certain city officials are meeting around the table with developers. In front of them are maps, plats, photographs of your home. They talk of dollars, big dollars. Tax revenue for the city, huge profits to the developer. They're plotting behind us to destroy the middle class. We all know that. The DeWeese report. Look him up. Get subscribed to his weekly reports. This kind of stuff I read on a regular basis and share. Alright, another one here. 10/12/2015, October. Communist rules for revolution. A list of communist rules for revolution was discovered by Allied forces in Germany in 1919. I think Snoops was recently exposed for lying, saying things that were true, but that they were not true, and they were just propaganda or lies. But they were caught. So back in 1919, communist rules for a revolution. Think about this. They're trying to bring about a revolution now called the New World Order. They had French revolutions. They had Russian revolutions, Chinese revolutions, German revolutions. The war between the North and the South in the United States, the Confederate War. At the same time, back then, in 1880s or whatever it was, they were having a Confederate war in North and South in Germany. These controllers behind the scenes do really nasty things. Destroy people's lives, nations, leaderships. That's what they do. That's what the New World Order is all about. So, in May 1919 in Dusseldorf, Germany, the Allied forces discovered a copy of these rules. The communists have rules. The communists were created by the Zionist Jewish folks. Make no mistakes. The same people who control all the Masonic lodges all over the world. Illuminati, Freemasons, Rosicrucians, the occult churches, the Jesuits, the Kabbalah people, Hollywood. I could go on and on and on. Knights of Malta, Knights of Columbus, Bilderberger, Bohemian Grove. Again, I could go on and on and on. So they've discovered this book with the rules. They were first printed in the United States in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, 1919. Almost 20 years later, in 1946, the Attorney General of Florida obtained them from a known member of the Communist Party, who acknowledged that the rules were still part of the communist program for the United States. Here's what the rules are. You don't think this is important? Corrupt the young. Get them away from religion. Get them interested in sex. Make them superficial. Destroy their ruggedness. Get control of all means of publicity. Get people's minds off their government by focusing their attention on athletes, athletics, football, sexy books, and other trivialities. Divide the people into hostile groups by constant harping on controversial matters of no importance. And that's another thing that I'm reminded of. It was a psychological study done once. And apparently, coincidentally, I have 5 fingers on my hand, but the human person can handle about 5 different things on a daily basis and maintain a healthy state of mental consciousness. Not go crazy. But if you double down and you make somebody deal with 10 worrisome issues, you're going broke at the same time. Your wife gets cancer at the same time. A plane just landed smashed into City Hall at the same time. The earth is starting to shake at the same time. We just went to war with Germany. You can handle 5 things, according to a study I read once. But when you get to up to 10 or more, it starts to boggle the mind. The communists know this. The New World Order people know this. The New Agers know this. The occultist Satanists know this. So when you see all these issues in these press releases, which is why I'm doing this, they're overloading our brains, our ability to comprehend, to cope with it. People turn to alcohol. People kill themselves. People do all kinds of strange things. It says it right here in the rules for communists. Focusing their attention on athletics, sexual books, and other trivialities. Divide the people into hostile groups by constantly harping on controversial matters of no importance. Divide and conquer. The blacks against the whites, the men against the women, the young against the old. Americans against immigrating Mexicans, or bringing over Syrians who they say are refugees, and at the same time they say they're raping women in Switzerland. The news. They're overloading us. They know that, and that's what they're trying to do. So if you know that, it might help you cope with this reality, realizing they are trying to mess with your head. Always preach true democracy, but seize power as fast and as ruthlessly as possible. So when they say they're trying to do something good, at the same time, they're doing something bad. When they have these mass shootings, like they did in San Bernardino, at the same time they were signing that Pacific Trade Agreement. They want you looking over here when they're doing something over there. Check into that. We're going to see that in these press releases. By encouraging government extravagance, destroy its credit, and produce fear of inflation with rising prices and general discontent. We all know that they're spending trillions and trillions gearing up for war. FEMA camps, hollow point bullets, Jade Helm, drones, and so much more, spying on all the people. Imagine if they spent 1/10 of that on the people. We'd all have a brand new home paid for in the United States. They're trying to fence off all the properties all over the United States. That's something that's looming that people aren't aware of. We should look at that for a second. So I have talked about, and I'm looking into this global biodiversity assessment. This is just a little synopsis of a big, thick, 900-page book coming out of the United Nations. And this is a summary for policymakers. So what is biodiversity assessment, and what are they planning to do? I'm going to tell you right now, you don't want to know. Start out with that. You really don't want to know. But we need to know everything. What they plan on doing is making most of the United States, and they probably have plans all over the world, off limits to people. Remember, this is media and press releases. And media would be photos I find on Photo Search, Yahoo Images, on biodiversity. The red are places humans are not going to be allowed to go. We will all be concentrated into cities. That's the ultimate plan. In the biodiversity assessment, it's basically a big robbery, a big theft, a big enslavement of people, the New World Order. They say nice things while they're doing bad things. So I looked up biodiversity in images. And I found these pictures. What they'll do in certain areas, in state by state, they'll have areas off limit to humans, and then there'll be buffer zones. And they'll have corridors in between them. So that if they could take one national forest, connect it to another national forest, they'll have to have a corridor between, and then a buffer zone. The stimulated reserve and corridor system to protect biodiversity. As required by the UN Convention on Biological Diversity, Wildlands Project, UN and US Man and Biosphere programs, they think the humans are the threat to the world, and their desire is to kill the humans. This is a little synopsis of what they own right now, how much of the states. You can see that they own most of the western United States. They have parcels in all the other states, and they intend to grow that. There's all kinds of different kind of biodiversity maps. This one here is just one little section in California. But they do intend, they're not going to stop with 50 or 60%. Just more pictures if you look up biodiversity images on YouTube. Apparently they're over there in Africa doing the same thing in places. It's all a beginning. Percentage of federal land ownership. And there's that big case right now that Lisa Haven talks about on that ranch, where they've been trying to buy up all the land out west and force the ranchers to sell. And they got this one rancher who won't sell. I think his name is Duffy or something like that. Anyways, they locked him up in jail and his father. And they got all these freedom people trying to help them right now, ranchers. This is what it boils down to. Since the 1990s, and then where it says the word goal. See Florida all in red? The one in green is where we are now, and the goal is the one in red. We know they have the Georgia USA Guidestones that say they want to eliminate 80 to 90% of the world's population. That's probably the only way they're going to be able to bring this about. Here's the plan, all the way down from Alaska, down through the whole United. All that's going to be fenced off from humans, so that the wolves can have their habitat back. You die so the wolves can thrive. Sounds a little bit crazy to me. They have plans for this. Serious discussion, government, the USGS survey. Essential 16 wildlife habitats. So the people have to go wildlands conservation planning efforts. I'm telling you now, it's the elitist of the world, the Zionists, Jesuits, the Vatican, basically who want to, in the name of biodiversity, human access denied. It's got the United Nations symbol up there. It's all about stealing all the stuff the citizens have. They want to control all of the resources all over the planet. Anyways, I thought that would be just, people need to be aware of that. New World Order, media and press releases. All this stuff is available for anybody to research. It is serious business. It'll be a crime to go on these properties. And they're going to fence off more and more. It's not going to stop with 50%. We all know that. We all see what they did with Palestine, when they had a little bit of land, and now the Palestinians only have a little bit of land. All right. That conversation. So there we were, talking about the communist rules for revolution. Continuing on with some more of their rules here. Ferment unnecessary strikes in vital industries. Encourage civil disorders. Foster a lenient and soft attitude on the part of the government towards such disorders. Cause the registration of all firearms on some pretext, with a view to confiscate them and leave the populace helpless. You need to go look it up. 1919. The communist rules. The stuff in the press releases is happening right now. We all know it. There's another document here. I always look up quite a few. Communist Rules for Revolution. On Wikipedia. When I do my research, I think I do it fairly thoroughly. Jane Griffin in Whitehorse, Yukon, thought the good people of the world might be interested in the following text. Rules for Revolution. Was published circa 1951 in some American newspapers and was found among my mother's clippings files. The text was submitted to the newspapers by George Brigham, the then state attorney for the state of Florida. At the time, Rules was acknowledged to be still part of a communist program for overthrowing the U.S. government as well as the Canadian government. Might want to look it up. If we pay attention to these press releases, we can see that they're well on their way to do what they're doing. This is just a little document I printed out for my research on the axis precession of the equinoxes. I'm a bit of a techie scientist guy, and it is my opinion that there are natural global warming periods and global cooling periods. If you look up ice core samples and images on Yahoo search, you will see that the Earth goes around the sun, and the sun is not sitting in one spot. Apparently it goes above and below the ecliptic plane of the galaxy. The sun goes above and below as it goes around the galaxy, carrying the planets with it. And I suppose that when you reach a peak north point or a peak south point, or when you cross the elliptic plane, crazy things might happen. You think? All right, John Dewey's speech of 1917, another document. The following quote is from the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Division of Intercourse and Education, forward by Elijah Root, publication number 15, The Imperial Japanese Mission. All right. So it says here, someone remarked that the best way to unite all the nations on the globe would be an attack from some other planet. Reagan mentioned this. A lot of politicians mentioned this. So are they going to do some kind of false flag event saying aliens are going to attack us or are attacking us? And will these aliens be the beings that have been on this planet all along, living underground, some called the Vril, gray aliens, reptilians? That's even mentioned in the Hopi book by Frank Waters. And all over the world, the giant pyramids and underground facilities that apparently a lot of people escaped to during the Great Flood. So John Dewey's speech in 1917 remarked that the best way to unite all the nations on this globe would be an attack of some other planet. In the face of such an alien enemy, people would respond with a sense of their unity, of interest and purpose. And again, as per these pictures with the biodiversity fencing off all the land of the peoples, that they're going to use some instrument, some event, to cause martial law, to cause people to be microchipped. And all this stuff is in these press releases. So you might want to go read that, see his speech. It's part of my research. Next document. Crazy. I've noticed when I do my research monitoring the daily, when I check my Yahoo email, for example, they got the news alerts there. There's just a steady spoonful of different issues, propaganda fed out to us on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, yearly basis. And one of those issues is the gay agenda. So going straight or otherwise is one article here. Gay is the new straight. Gay marriage may not be the law of the land, but it has become the cornerstone of network television. NBC calls it the new comedy about a homosexual couple adopting a baby, the new normal. And that kind of underestimates it. There is nothing particularly new about gay characters on sitcoms. This season, they are not only normal, they seem de rigueur, whatever that means. Several new shows have gays in secondary roles, including Emily's Owens, MD, a new medical drama on CW. Mimi Goomer plays an insecure intern who has a lesbian friend at the hospital. They come up with this stuff over and over and over. I remember the reptilian gray alien beings are androgynous. And according to that speech by John Dewey in 1917, saying that if the people thought there was some invading aliens, we would all unite. Anyways, and I did say the stuff when the gay agenda just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. Gay families more accepted than single moms. Can't make this stuff up. Linda says, with the Children's Health NBC News, when Steve Pugent was sworn in as mayor of Palm Springs, California, in 2007, his husband, Christopher Green, was at his side. In Pugent's arms were then the 2-year-old son, Beckham, while Green held the other twin, Julia. So this gay couple, who gets to be the mayor, has a nice little boy and girl family, and we get a press release with all the details. Yep, we're all under the threat of mind control. The Vatican calls for world government. 3/8/2015. You can't make it up. It's in the news. That isn't just the implication, it's the explicit call in the latest from the Vatican that we need to move to a system of world government. This series is New World Order. Media and press releases. We're doing 2015, and I've only touched the surface here. I got that big box. This is just the first video. So anyways, if you want to go look that up, you think it's not real, you want to huff and puff and laugh and say, oh, conspiracy theory. You're going to see by watching my videos for the next months on end getting this job done. Here's another one, activist post. Vatican calls for world government and a new world order. The leader of the Catholic Church, Pope Benedict XVI, has called for the establishment of a world government and a new world order. This is all biblical, by the way. And even on credit cards I got in the mail recently, there was a little microchip on it. You have to put it on a different place on the scanner when you buy stuff now. So the next thing it'll do, they'll put the little, because people can steal credit cards with microchips on it. It'll have to be in your forehead or your right hand, as per the Bible, the mark of the beast, 666. If you take the mark of the beast, whatever this interdimensional God thing, devil thing is, once you take the mark of the beast, you can't go to heaven. You are doomed to hell with the Satanists and the reptilian snakesters. They don't have good plans for people. They're deceivers. They're vicious. They want to fence off most of America and increase the wolf population. A little strange, you think? Biodiversity. Another press release here. Maybe I'll stop on this video. Let me know if you think this is a good idea. FedEx refuses to ship CNC router machine because it can be used to drill holes in gun parts. So they don't want you to make guns either. German wings jetliner catastrophe. The first anti-depression drug-induced mass murder of the skies. Ouch. All kinds of stuff on this printout I did here. Where's the article about CNC? Here we go. Bunch of other advertising there. Operation Choke Point. My assertion here is that FedEx is trying to hide behind the color of law, Wilson told InfoWars. Rather, they're more interested in the political implications of my device than its legality. They don't like the idea, they're uncomfortable with the idea that people could have such easy access to guns and will perform by extension what Eric Holder and the administration cannot do. So they don't want you to have the ability to make guns. And Obama recently in the news, as we all know, this is January 11th, 2016, with tears in his eyes, said he had to make some executive orders to increase the gun controls. Can't be good for us, I think. All right. Child tracking wristbands edge us closer to a dystopian future. Parents will soon be able to track, log, and judge the every movement of their offspring. God help these children. For those who think the NSA, the worst invader of privacy, I invite you to share an afternoon with Alan and Foster, two 11-year-old boys, as they wrap up a Friday at school. Alan invites his friend home to hang out. They text their parents who agree to the plan. As they ride on the bus, Foster's phone and sensor on a wristband alert the school and his parents of a deviation of his normal route. The school has been notified, and he is heading to Aiden's house, so the police are not called. Well, one more. This is just too interesting. Another one. Goodbye, roll call. Hello, RFIDs. So apparently in school, they're not going to have to do roll call. The computer will know you are in your classroom. Told you this is rapid media and press release reviews. RFID Conference 2015. Increased efficiency and competitiveness through tracking and tracing. People don't believe this is true. They're moving ever so much forward to microchip everybody. Everything you do. They know where you're going. And another issue that popped up that really blew me away. Unbelievable. A lot of places are banning you having a stove in your house that burns wood. I know what you're thinking. Rick, you're crazy. But we have 416,000 results. When I keyword this, EPA bans most wood-burning stoves off the grid. They don't want you to be off the grid. So I saw this one press release. I had to do a little research. EPA burns most wood-burning stoves. This was 11/8/2013, but apparently I researched it in 2015. So if anybody thinks it's going to stop with the biodiversity when they fence off most of the property, and you want to live off the grid and not be a victim or a slave to the establishment, think again. Look, remember this, I started out this video. How ridiculous that an Illuminati family, the Rothschilds, would be making this book. David D. Rothschilds. You know, it's just too much to believe. You're supposed to put on a sweater. Save the planet. Put on a sweater. Harvest the sun. And keep off most of America's land, which is owned by the federal government. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Who is the government? Aren't we the citizens? The owners of this land? They will probably do something to bring about a martial law. They will suspend the Constitution. And the world will never be the same. And these alien, hybrid, eugenically modified DNA beasts that they're making with the reptilians or greys, maybe creatures that have been on this planet all along. But apparently at the end times with CERN, with the Shiva destruction goddess out front and the logo 666, and the UFO crashes at Roswell and all the other things that happened since the 2 nuclear explosions in Japan at the end of World War II. That's when the UFO sightings really increased. And maybe these demonic beings are going to be introduced into our reality. Maybe it's all as the Bible says. This new world order. The gay agenda. The androgynous beings. Banning burning wood at home. what's coming in the future. Anyways, I hope you like this idea of mine. I have enough material here reviewing 10 years worth of press releases to keep this conversation going for a whole year. Rick Marrico reporting.